It's been described as one of the toughest missions in recent times, with Irish troops facing tough conditions in an unstable country. Thankfully, on Wednesday, though, another battalion of Irish troops returned home safe from their peacekeeping mission in Chad. Two of that squad, we're delighted to say, are here with us now to tell us what it's all about. Captain James Sharkey and Sergeant Louise Mann, you're very welcome. Thanks for joining us this morning. I imagine conditions quite hard, quite difficult, quite tough. I mean, the heat must have been one of the main things to deal with.
Yeah, the heat was a big factor now, I have to say. It was very hot the whole time we were there now, and getting used to it. There was no getting used to it, really, and just glad to be back now in the normal weather that we're used to.
How does it come about that you go to Chad? Do you volunteer to go and then they select, or are you told you're going?
If it suits you, you volunteer. If you're due a trip, like if you're interested in going over there for something different, or you volunteer.
Okay.
Yeah, most people are volunteers.
And off you go. And what sort of briefing do you receive before you go as to sort of safety and when can you fire back? Presumably if you're under fire you can, or when can you draw a weapon or draw down a weapon? How does it work?
Well, we get various rules of engagement briefings in the time, and we have a formal period of a couple of months there before we head to Chad, and we have various briefings through that on various different things, and obviously rules of engagement will be one of the major things that we'll get briefed on, so that we, if we do get into a hostile situation, we're able to deal with it in a calm and efficient manner. Okay,
now receiving the briefing and then actually landing on the ground and meeting up with colleagues and settling in, what was that like for you, Louise?
It was fine. It was a shock to the system at the start, obviously with the heat and the conditions, and we literally were going into nothing. There was nothing there, that we had to build it from scratch. The first, our battalion was basically tasked with building the camp from the Greenfield site, or the desert site as it was.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, and you've an awful lot of situation where there's an awful lot of refugees, say from nearby Darfur, are coming into the country. There's the rebels, there's the government, so you're caught in the middle of all this. And what is the main brief? Is it to protect as many civilians as you can and to make sure that just keep the peace?
Well, the main brief for us is basically to provide a safe and secure environment for internally displaced people and for refugees. And once we maintain that safe and secure environment within that area, hopefully entice people into moving back to their homes and making sure that they're safe and they're happy.
Give us an average day. You know, what do you do when you're working?
We had an early start. 5 o'clock was our start. You get up, you have your breakfast. We had a cookhouse when we were leaving there, but at the start we didn't. We were roughing it out of ration packs. Yeah. Then you start your work. Initially we started at 6 o'clock, but then as we got operational, we brought it back to 6:30. Then you work up to 11, your lunch, and then you have a siesta because it's just so hot out there. It's in the mid-50s out there. The siesta was up until 3 o'clock. Another parade, then you worked at 4. That's if you're not on duty.
Yeah.
Then we had a facility for training then from 4 until 6, and then that was pretty much it then. Dinner.
What do you do on downtime? I mean, you know, when you're building from scratch, obviously it's not a case of, well, we go to the local or we go down the club or something. So what do you do? Well,
there's nothing there really in the place. After 6 o'clock, some of the nights there was like a poker night organised, or there was table quizzes and things like that in the evenings, but generally it was downtime after the day. You'd be absolutely wrecked. Yeah. So I think most people are going to bed about 7 or 8 o'clock anyway, because you'd be shattered after the day, and the weather out there would really take it out of you. Watch some stuff on the laptop or play cards with the lads and just have the crack.
And what about other battalions then from different countries? Do you meet up with them? Is there inter-rivalries or competitions or something? You know, just in terms of to keep the thing going when you're not working?
Well, because the Irish were first on the ground over there, we had about 60 Dutch Marines in the camp with us and about 20 or 30 French. There was engineers and CIS personnel there. But the countries are still, the European nations are still going into the country, so that has yet to be.
Okay,
it's just early days yet there.
And what about them on your briefing regarding your own safety? What is the threat level? Are you constantly on guard? Is it high alert? Is it mid alert? Or how does that work?
Well, it'd be low to mid threat level. We'd obviously have a duty platoon on duty at the time. We'd also have a quick reaction force on about 10 minutes notice to move in order to go out and help if there was any security threats out there. But it was, apart from a few occasions out there, it was normally low to medium threat levels. Yeah,
which is good news in one sense. But if you are called to engage and you go out to maybe see what the problem is, I mean, what are the rules of engagement? I mean, do you have to wait until you're fired upon before you can actually take action?
No, if we feel that we're threatened, or that refugees are threatened, or NGOs are threatened, basically we are allowed open fire just to secure that if we feel threatened.
Okay. And how many troops went out from Ireland on the initial visit?
Well, the initial entry force, the advance party was...
It was about 180, I'd say. Yeah.
And the job then was basically build a small camp, or basically a small town, I suppose, in all intents and purposes.
To be self-sufficient, self-sustaining.
And long term, how long do you expect to be out there?
Well, we have the mandate until March 2009, and then after that it becomes a political decision. Now, I know the Minister has intoned that he would look favourably on it if once it becomes a UN mission and extending it, but it'll be subject to the triple lock system then again, so that's a political question now for as opposed to...
Yeah, but also I suppose that the more chance or the more occasions you get to work abroad, I suppose, you know, the more it adds to your career value and to your improvement as a member of the Defence Forces, and presumably everybody wants to try and go up the ladder a little bit, so things like this are part of the career path, I would imagine. Chad being low alert, low to mid, where would be high alert at this stage that Irish troops could go? I mean, we had some ranges in Afghanistan. Are they still there, or were they covert, or was that just a rumour?
No, there are some Defence Force personnel in Afghanistan at the moment as well. And,
yeah, all right. Well, look, thanks for coming in. It's been kind of interesting, and it's kind of scary as well what you have to go through. I mean, how do family feel about that when you're heading off on a mission like that?
Obviously, they're nervous. They're worried about you, but they know that, you know, the Irish are perceived overseas very well, and we're well trained as well.
Okay.
So.
And equipment levels, because we often read about British soldiers and American soldiers not having decent boots, not having decent equipment, bulletproof vests sometimes being bought by themselves off the market because they're not happy with the equipment that they have.
No, in fairness, I think the basic levels of what we have, from, as you say there, the personal body armour to our load carrying equipment, boots and various other pieces, they're top class now. They're the best that are on the market now, and we're well looked after, I think, from that point of view.
Okay, well now you're due 6 weeks off. Go and enjoy, and have a great break, and thanks very much for coming into us this morning.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.